Make sure I get my recorder back on for you. Reporting program to help students with test preparation and standards mastery. Study Island's high-impact, high-value programs provide quality academic support and practice and real-time assessment data. The immediate feedback and built-in remediation, coupled with the actionable data, enables educators to easily differentiate instruction. Students practice their skills using our question-answer format and even have the ability to play games when they get questions correct. And should I quantify there, they have to get the questions correct the first time to play the game. As they work through the questions and answers, their top goal is to earn blue ribbons in every topic, which shows they have demonstrated mastery. Teachers and administrators gain valuable data on how students are doing to inform instructional decisions, and the data in Study Island reports is automatically generated and updated as students work in the program, saving teachers time grading and profiling data. I just wanted to show you a little bit of the different products that Edmentum has, just real briefly. We are obviously working with Study Island today. They have Plato content, other remediation software for reading. The Academy is a private virtual high school, assessment tools, and even college and career readiness for high school and beyond. So, the basis for Study Island is assessment, instruction, practice, and reporting. And I want to do another poll because I kind of want to get your idea as to which one of these is important to you as well. So here's another poll for you to look at. So of this group, which one are the ones that you think are most important? Just go ahead and take your choice. We'll just see how it comes out. I'll just give it another few seconds here to give you a chance to respond. I'm going to share, and here we go. These were the results that we came up with. So really it does come down to basically your personal goal as to what you're trying to get out of the program to support your students and manage instruction. I'm going to hide that. We'll go back to where we were. And go back to my monitor. And we're back where we were. Okay. Now let's get to the meat of the program. I'm going to go in now into the admin account for Fame Public Charter. And what I like to do is I like to show a little bit of the differences in what the administrator controls. I just do a real quick review. So you can add, as a teacher, you can kind of know what is controlled at what level. So if I click on the admin account, it shows the admin page and the different choices that the administrator has to manage the program at the top level. First thing I'll go into is manage users. And this is where you have an easy login set up, and that's generally designed for K1, which it creates a group, and then it reduces the amount of information that the student needs to learn or remember to log in. So the student would just click on their name in a group. The administrator has the ability to adjust student difficulty, as well as the teacher at their level, which I'll show you later. So if I go into, we'll go into grade 4, and if I click next, this is where student difficulty can be adjusted either by class, by student, by subject area, and then you have a series of deviant percentages from the default that you can choose either above or below. And again, this can be done at the class level, the student level, or by subject area. The administrator also controls the school preferences at their level and decides what the teachers can and can not manage at their level. In this situation, is allow teachers to adjust student difficulty and reset start date is currently no. And then the other options are currently yes, allow classroom response system, enable flashcards, and any other toggles. So this is something you would want to look at maybe as you begin to implement and work through the program. Then this could be discussed as a team as to what you might request to have access to depending on your needs for your students. And then finally, the administrator is the one that puts the users in. And in most cases, they can be imported by spreadsheet, but then individual users can be added to at one at a time as needed. I go back to the admin page. The other unique thing, important thing that the administrator handles is they have the ability to alter the subjects. So if I go into, say, 4th grade standards math, and I click continue, it gives me the learning path for that content area. And this is where the administrator has the ability to move content up or down, see the objectives, standards, or even eliminate content depending on the need or the wishes of the student or standards. So this is where, again, as a team, the content area leads would probably work with the administrator to make sure that the order and the content is exactly the way that they want it or it should be. So that's basically just an overview and a blush of what the administrator has and what they have ability to control. And I really like this program because it is not admin heavy. It is more teacher heavy, and that's really what the big benefit of the program is, to allow teachers, again, to create assignments, create classes, and guide instruction for their students. So let's go into our teacher page now. And the first thing I want to show you under the teacher page is I want to look at the content itself. And here on the lower left, 2nd, 4th, 6th, and then Cassie. Let's just go into 4th grade and take a look at what's in there. And here are the different areas under 4th grade. And what we'll do is we'll go in and just look at one of the course areas. Let's look at math. And it gives you the learning path for math. And in this case, 4th grade California Standards Mastery. And all I'm going to do is take you left to right here and try to kind of take you through the interface and the view here. So if we go to real world problems, actually let's just go to factors and multiples because it has flashcards and I want to show you that. So the first thing, if I click on the name of the objective, it's going to take me straight into the assessment and allow me to go in and actually do the assessment, understanding that the students also have the ability to do this. You have 4 different ways that you can take the assessment. I'm not sure if you guys have classroom response systems in your school, but again, being independent study, you're probably going to mainly work within the practice mode, the printable worksheets, and the game mode. The practice mode is nothing more than you go into it and it immediately takes you straight into the assessment and it begins to take you through the problems. And the student would just work through these 10 problems. In this case, there should be 10. And as soon as the student is done, they immediately see a readout of their results. If I go back in here and go into the printable worksheets, this is an area where you can now, the student has access to print these. You can then print them yourself, hide the multiple choice, hide answer list, open in Microsoft Word, and these then allow you to distribute, because many students, particularly in math, I found myself, many of them would rather print it and do the worksheet that way. And then finally there's the game mode that's available to students. And again, the game is only played if the student gets the answer right the first time. And there are 4 different levels of games available. And I highly recommend that you go in yourself and practice some of the games and play some of the games and experience them. One of the nice changes that came out last month was previously if a student chose game mode, they had to play the game. Now when the student chooses game mode, it will ask them each question that they get right, do you want to play the game or not? Because some students might get through 5 and then say, okay, I'm tired of the game, I just want to do the assessment. Or maybe they're running short of time. So again, it gives them the choice to choose to do the game, or just move on to the next question, which I thought was a great change for the assessment. Let's go back to our content and take a look at it again. And I want to go to the next level, and that is the lesson. So let's stay with factors and multiples, and if I click here, it opens up the actual lesson. And then here is even a movie that the student can watch to help reinforce the lesson. Now you're probably not hearing the audio, but I just wanted you to at least be able to see kind of the format of the videos that support instruction for the students. So that's also available to the student as part of the lesson. And then they can click through the different steps right here, take it out. So again, that's all printable as well. And then most lessons have flashcards, so I will look at those. And the nice thing about the flashcards is they're both printable and they're both interactive. So if I click here, there are printable flashcards which the student could print, cut, and then use for practice. Or they have interactive, where they could just click on it and practice. And later on in the session, I'm going to show you under custom material how to create your own flashcards. Okay, so there's your flashcards, and they're generally available for most lessons. The primary difference between what you're seeing as a teacher and what the student sees is the green apples, which is teacher resources. So the student basically sees this same learning path, same format as you do, except for the apples. And the teacher resources are available, again, as you can see, in most lessons. If I click on that, it opens up your resources for this particular lesson. And the first thing it does, it tells you exactly what it's talking about, what the objectives is. If I go to videos, there's a teacher video, and this video is designed specifically as an example of teacher instruction for the teacher. So it's a kind of a suggested method to possibly teach this lesson to the student. So this could be used interactive. I'm not sure in your independent study if you have a synchronous interactive program that you can use for your students. I know we have like Blackboard IM, things like that. And so this would be something that could also be used for you to then support you when you want to reinforce an objective to the students. And I'll click on this and show you again the format. And the nice thing about these is they are relatively short and concise, and most of them will run between 2 and 3 minutes. Next to the videos are lesson plans, and here are all the lesson plans and resources that are available for this objective. Open up the lesson plan, we'll take a look at that. Give my Word a chance to open here, and I'll slide it over for you. And here is a lesson plan, and this again specific to number sentences, grade level 4. And it lays it out specifically for whole class instruction. Even talks about the advanced learner and the struggling learner and different ways to adjust to those type of students. And these are all additional resources done, again, just for this specific objective. Additional resources, what I have found is if there are additional resources, they are generally project-based activities that are available. As we move to the right, then you'll see items scored, so you would see the results here. This is the number of items that were tested or in the assessment, and the percentage, the benchmark percentage that you're looking for. And then to the far right is your standard for each objective. If I open that up, it shows me the specific standard for that lesson. In the far upper right, if you click this area, it gives you the entire standards map for this content area. And again, all printable, all available to you. Any questions so far? Basically, all your content is laid out in this manner. And so the students, again, they see the same menu here to the left as you do. Let's go up to our class manager. And let's look at what we've got. If I go in here and I go to all classes, it shows me that there's some classes have been made. Lorraine has created one and Tracy's created one. I do notice, though, that under the class page, there's nothing here. Normally, there would be a small house here, and that house would indicate that these classes were active. Because there's nothing there, it tells me that the classes have never been activated. So we're going to go in and we're going to create a class, and then we'll activate it and add students and then add assignments to it. So basically, to create a class, it's nothing more than class manager. Add new class, and you're on your way. So first thing you have to do is create a class title. So let's say I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make it CA because we're in California. And this is kind of important when you create classes, is because the students probably have different teachers, it's identifying the specific class that they need to access, and so maybe the name of the teacher, and maybe the grade and the content area, and then maybe even CC or whatever it is, depending on the type of content, depending on what the content's being drawn from. In your case, it looks like you have all California programs, so it probably just as simple not to even worry about that part. I know that in some places they have both state programs and U.S. programs, and so maybe identifying specifically in that class what's going to be the content area that's going to be used. Back to the school preferences we talked about. Now this is where the teacher has the opening to allow a game. They can hide the timer, enable a scratch pad, enable highlighters, enable building block topics. If you click this toggle, it opens that up for you, and then it gives you all these options for this entire class that you're going to create. And here are all the different options for game that you can use. So this can be modified by class, and then later on it can be modified by even assignment, which I'll show you. Timers, that's always a big question that comes up. Some students tend to get stressed sometimes with a timer, but on the other hand, you may have some students who are preparing for a time test maybe sometime, and maybe they need to get used to a timer. So that's always available to you there. One thing about the timer is it's not like a big clock that just sticks out there and kind of protrudes out in the student's face. It's there and it's available, but it's not obtrusive, I don't think. If I go into my student, I'm going to show you the tools. I'm going to go into Ernie's class page, and this is a student now we're looking at. And I'm going to go into, let's go into his language arts and open this up. And it shows his learning path right here and what's been assigned to Ernie. And if I click on his phonics lesson and then go into practice mode, so he's going to take this lesson in practice, click next, you now will see to the left from a student view the different tools that those toggles control, those options control. So briefly I'll go through them just so you know what these symbols are. This allows the student to increase or decrease font. Here is the reader, and later on we'll show you how to access the reader and turn that on and off for students. Scratch pad, which is available to the student. If you, again, access that to them. And the other thing that's nice is that this is even a printable scratch pad if they have access to a printer and it's hooked up for them. And then you have all your various highlighters here. If the student wants to use the reader, all I do is highlight the text and then click play, and it will begin to read the content. The yellow is the sentence that it's reading, and the blue is the word that it's pronouncing. And that's how your reader is used. So those are all the tools that are available to the student that have options for the teachers to assign to the class or to just assignments. We'll go ahead and submit this, and I'm going to go back into creating our class. So then you have all these options that you look at, and then now we have to choose our students. And we're doing 4th grade, so I'm going to click on 4th grade. And it says right now that there are 3 students in 4th grade in the school. If I expand this, I can even see the students that are in the school. I see hands up. Are there questions that I'm missing? Or if you have questions, you can also just type them in the text box. If you do have questions, just unmute and let me know, okay? So I've gone through, I've created my course.
David?
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, I have a question about the printables.
Okay.
So if they choose to print for practice, how would that data be recorded? Do you have to go back in and take it on the computer?
Yeah, they would. Yeah, you would either have to record it yourself, but what they would have to do, it's a practice sheet, so then they would go in and do the assessment to
Oh, it matches, so they can do it on a paper, but they'd go back in and then click what they marked on the paper.
Yeah, they would have that option to do that, to be able to populate the data. I understand where you're going there, yeah. So to be able to populate the data for the student and add it to the class reports or student reports, yes, they would have to go in and do the assessment.
Thank you. Second question, I'm seeing under California programs, 2nd, 4th, and 6th, and Cassie, where's the other grades?
I am not sure. This is all I saw in there. I can check on that. What are you supposed to have K through?
I don't know, Laura. I was expecting K through, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something I can check on for you, and and I'll check and see what content it was supposed to be available for this school. Okay. And make sure.
Okay. Third question. I see one of my students' names.
You see one of your
one of my students' names.
Okay.
Yeah, on 4th grade. Have our students been inputted already?
Looks like
These are students who used it over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Oh, so, wait, okay.
Yeah, normally I would have gone in and added some demo students, but I did see there was some in there, so I just figured I would just use whatever students were in there.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Okay. No, thank you. Great questions. So I've gone in and I've added the 4th grade, the 3 students. Now, again, I'm adding to a class. Now, again, I don't have to add this entire group. I can take one out if I want to. Or I can even assign across grades. So if I could assign some from 2nd, I can assign some from whatever I want to. You might have some students that you might have students that you're putting into a class group for a specific reason, then maybe it's not content driven, it's more you're trying to put them in maybe a remediation program for a specific topic, and you have students in different grades that might need that remediation topic. So you can, again, assign across grades when you create a class. So we'll go back through it. I've got my class manager, I've got my class name, I've checked my preferences, I've assigned my students. The other thing to note here is this is also where you can change class owners. So let's say you created a class and then you have to leave for some reason and you put a new teacher in, this class could then be changed over to a new teacher if necessary. So it's a way for you to change ownership. Or say the administrator creates classes, or some other department head creates classes, they then can go in and assign those classes to the person that they want to manage the class. Now I'm going to save this part, and there's my class is now saved, and now I'm going to go into class page and assignments, which is the second tab at the top. The first thing you'll notice under class page and assignments is class page activated, and currently it's no. If I try to activate this class page, it's not going to let me. You have to assign work or create assignments for the class before it will let you activate it. So I can't even activate this page yet. So I have to create some assignments. You have two types of assignments. You have a class assignment and you have student assignments. Let's go ahead and do a class assignment for this class that we just created. And once I go into create an assignment, you'll see three different types of assignments available to you. The practice and instruction, which again shows you the printable worksheets, the practice and instruction, and the game mode. You also have the ability to create writing assignments, and you also have the ability to create test builder. Yes, Danielle?
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, do students have to be part of a class to be able to use Study Island with us?
No, because once they're in the system, they have access to this content.
Okay, thank you.
Once they have a login, they have access to. So if I go back to my student I was in before, and I submit and get out of this, I'm going to end the study session. I'm going to get out of this and go back to my home page, and you'll see that Ernie right here has all the content. See it? So he has access to every bit of that unless I determine that I don't want the student to have access to that. So yes, they don't have to be in a class to get to the assignments. Let's go ahead and do a, you're welcome. Let's go ahead and do a, and the last thing, I'm sorry, then the last thing would be a writing, and then the last would be a test builder. And we're going to go through all three of these thoroughly today. Very simply, practice and instruction assignment. I could create an assignment, and it just takes you through step by step. One of the things that I like to do is I like to go into my assignment options first and find the content area I'm going to draw from. So in this case, I'm doing 4th grade math, and what it does is it brings up my learning path for me. So now I can see exactly what objectives are covered in this content area. So let's say I want to do operations and algebraic thinking. I'm going to check the box, which then is going to check everything under that topic, and I'm going to copy, right-click, and I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go back to my general info, and I'm going to paste that in. So now I know that the assignment title matches exactly what the learning path is titled. After I've decided on my topic, or my assignment options, now it's nothing more than pick my dates that I want to assign it, when I want it due, what time do I want it due, do I want it active right now, any instructions for the student that I want to put in there, do I want them to have a calculator available, and again, do I want to override any class preferences which are at the bottom. This part is nice because you can create assignments in advance and then not activate them, so they can be available for you to activate later on. Understanding that the dates you put here, so if you put assigned date, and let's say we're going to, that was 4 topics I think we chose, so let's say we're going to go out a week here and give the student a week to do these 4 assignments. Then I want to activate it right now because I want them in. But let's say later on, let's say I wanted to create something. I used to work in a 9-week block system where I had new students every quarter. This would allow me to create things in advance and then activate later. So I've created my general info and preferences. Now I can go back to my assignment options, and I've already have my area checked that I wanted to cover. Now I have another area that needs to be considered, and that's your constructed response questions right here. In the case of what we just chose, there are 2 available. And you can view the constructed response by clicking on the magnifying glass, we hope. Let's see, why is it not opening for me here? One of those days. Let's try this. Because normally that should open up for me. I'm having one of those days with this. Anyway, this magnifying glass, if you click on it, it should open up and show you exactly what the constructed response is. If you toggle it to yes, it will assign the question as part of the assignment, understanding that if you assign the constructed responses, that the percentage that the student is showing in their reports will not be fully accurate until you grade the constructed response. So the teacher then, once it was completed, would be prompted to grade the constructed response. If I move to the right, I can also see the actual lesson that goes to this objectives. So if I click this, it shows me the actual lesson for that specific objective. And then to the far right, again, I can look at the questions. I'm having a bugger of a time with this today. It's crazy. Let me go in here. Let me try something else here. I'm going to go in here and try a different content area and see what happens here. Let's see here. Of course, there are no constructed response here. Let's see if this opens. Now, see, now that one opens. That's wild. So the lesson opened before. Let's see if my questions open this time. And for some reason, I am not getting things to open up here. Hang on one second. No, you'll just have to carry with me, I guess. I don't want to waste a bunch of time trying to do this. I'll go into another assignment content area, and let's see if we can do this. Let's go back in here now. All right. Let's go back in here and try this. Okay. It's just not going to cooperate for me for some reason. So let's go back here. So the Q would be where the questions would show what questions would be asked in this multiplicative comparisons lesson. And then to the far right again is the standard for this particular objective. So as you move through the content, and every time you assign content or look at content, the standard is almost always there available to review whenever you look at the actual content area. I'm going to go through now, and I'm just going to go ahead and add the constructed response for this objective, and I'm going to go to my students next. And you'll notice that it already has my 3 fourth graders selected, so I'm going to save and exit that. And if you look, you can see now that I have created an assignment for this class. And now I have the ability to activate the class page. Now if I go back to my class manager, you'll see the little house here which signifies specifically that this class page is now active. And to the right, I have action buttons where I can go in and edit or change the options. And at the bottom of the page, in most all cases, are your legends so that you know what the symbols mean. So I can go back into the pencil and immediately go back into the class properties, right back into the class manager, and right back where I was. And again, from here, I can also go into the action buttons and edit or look at the lesson that I created, the assignment that I created. The first button gives me the ability to deactivate the assignment. The bar graph gives me the ability to see the data that's collected, the results. The information button, I open that, tells me exactly what I created in this activity, this lesson. And again, you'll see that the standards map areas are right next to each area. It tells me who assigned the class. It tells me who owns the class. It gives me the edit option again with the pencil. And then last but not least, I can eliminate the assignment and delete it. Yes, Danielle?
Sorry, I keep asking so many questions.
That's all right.
We're supposed to be doing Common Core for math and language arts. Is this California Standards or Common Core?
Here's your Common Core right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Great.
I was just using that as an example, but you have that available to you right there.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Okay, no problem. Okay, let me go back to my class manager again. Open this up. Now, I'm going to go down from the top. I activated my class page. If this is clicked yes, default for students, that means when the student logs in, the first thing they see is their class page. So in the case of Ernie here, he sees this right here. That's the default when the student logs in. If you have that button clicked, that's what the student sees first when they log in, is their classes. This third button here, block other material, this is where you can block this other content while the student is working on this assignment. So if you click that to yes, when other materials blocked, students will only be able to use Study Island topics assigned on the class pages. They won't be able to navigate to other topics by using the navigation bar on the left. So this is where you control that. Now I want to go through these tools. Before we go into more assignments, I want to go through these tools here on the right. It's your class schedule, your class notes, and your class links. If I open this up, it gives me the ability to add a note. Let's see. Let's say midterm Friday. I can pick the date. Let's say the 12th. I can pick the time. Done. Any details that I want to leave for the student, and save it. And this will now show up here. I can also have class notes, so I might go, welcome to my class, save, and then that also shows up on the class page. And now the class links, and this is where I like to kind of segue over to the teacher toolkit for a second before we go to the class links. And the teacher toolkit are your resources for all grades and all different resource types, and then all content areas. So for this exercise, I'm going to go into 6 to 8, and I'm going to go into Khan Academy videos, and I'm going to take absolute value of integers, and I'm going to open up that link, that Khan Academy video. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy that link. And then I'm going to go back to my class manager, and I'm going to put that link right here. Save it. And now the link is there for the students to use. So that's a way that you can kind of take like the Khan videos from the teacher toolkit and use those as a resource. And obviously adding class links is not limited to what's in the teacher toolkit. You might have other links that you want to make available. If I go to my student again and I open up Ernie's class, you'll notice to the right here, none of that was filled in for this math class. But if I click on his language arts, quiz on Friday, welcome to my class, and then numbers and operations link. So that kind of shows you the view from the student view. So that's just a nice little tool that I recommend using, and it gives you the ability to give direct information to the student based on your class that you're creating. Let's go in and create a right. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Before you proceed? Thanks. So I use Study Island. I quit 2 years ago because I used it as a supplemental for parents that wanted it. and it turned too arduous and too complicated, so we quit.
Okay.
So I have a situation where the homeschool moms want to, if they use this program, if they would want to monitor, go in, look at the assessments, assign the assessments, look at the results, assign a little bit more, because it's supplemental. So they would handpick what they wanted to do. How does the parent versus the teacher interface in this platform?
Well, the parent would have to have access to interface, so the only way that they would have access to the data is if it was shared by you or by the teacher or by someone at the school.
So
you could,
I mean, is basically monitoring, assigning everyone, all students. The teacher, the employee from SAME is the person who is doing all of the assigning and what's the parental role?
I'm having trouble picking you up. I'm sorry. What was that?
What can be the parental role?
Well, the parental role would be you can send them information. In fact, what I can do right now is I can go into the class manager and I'll open up my class, and right here is parent notifications that you can create.
Okay.
If I open that up, it gives me the options for parent notifications that you can set up either as a group or as an individual. And
I'm just notifying them, you're to do this, you're to do that.
Yep.
They don't have access to, because basically the parent is home with the child doing that instruction because this is supplemental. So the parent is choosing, do we want a little remedial? Do we want some more practice on this one component in math? So no, this program cannot be used for that then.
Well, yeah, it can be. The parent could work through the student's login and access all the content that way. So, because the student has access to all the content, so if the student logs in, they're going to see the same content as the teacher would.
Okay.
So
the parent would log in as the student. Okay,
sure.
That would work.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that, and then they then could see the content available, and then direct instruction for their homeschooler that way. The other way too is if you look at the drop down I have right now. These are the different alerts that can be sent. There's a individual student report. Blue Ribbon Award. There's all kinds of reports here that can be sent to the parents automatically.
Yeah, Karen, the role of the parent is to tell you what to set up. You set it up, and then they monitor their student from there.
And that's probably.
Is there any parent? There's no parent training?
No.
To see if they want to use the program?
Yes.
For them to test out the program to see if that's what they want to sample, continue with?
Well, we can put the child in the program and then just assign them something basic, and then have them look around and figure it out and see if they want to use it or not. This is just one of those other options.
Okay, and there's no cost to the parent, correct?
No.
Is there a cost to use Study Island for the parent out of their EUs?
There's no cost for the student to use it.
Right.
There's
from
no
their
cost.
EUs.
Yes. Yep. No cost.
Yeah. So another question. This looks just like K-12 Study Island because I worked for K-12 last year, and Study Island was a component of K-12. Is this the same program?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It is.
Okay.
It's the same Study Island as Study Island, yeah.
Okay.
The other question I have is that if a parent goes in as a student and prints off practice sheets, worksheets, they don't have access to the answer key, do they?
No, because they didn't.
I'm assuming that they would.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
sorry.
assume that they would input those answers, and they can get the report from there.
Right, because
Okay.
they're going in as the students, so they wouldn't have the answers.
Okay. But under assessments, the same sheet would come up, and then they can get the answer key that way, or it would just be graded?
It would be graded.
It would be graded. Okay.
And again, it's self-grading unless the constructed response questions are assigned.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you have experience with a parent using this program? And do you?
I'm not sure who you're asking.
You, to you, the facilitator, the presenter.
Do I have experience with that? Yes, yeah. I know a school here that uses Study Island extensively, and the parents are active in it all the time. But again, they work through the student's login to decide what remediation work that they want the student to work on at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the school also uses those parent notifications depending on not only what they want the parent to have, but also what the parent requests.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing, once the student logs in, if I go here, here's my student, that parent can draw from any of this content right here.
Mm-hmm.
Because any content that's available to the school would also be available to the student, and then also the parent to utilize as they through the student's login.
So talk to me a little bit about how the parent can access the scores of each chapter review, or what the student does. How
They would
can
see
the
it
parent have access?
when the student has their own reports. Right here. Right here.
Okay.
So the student has all these reports for them available for themselves and for the parent.
Does it show the particular assessment and also the answers that they got right and wrong?
Let's go here. I'll go here to individual student report for this student, and I'll bring this up. And this shows the learning track, okay, for this student. And real quickly, I'll just show that obviously the student got a 40 in this area here, and he fell below. I can see here, if I click here, and again, I'm in as the student now. If I click here, I can view sessions, and this shows me right here the sessions, and right here's where I can view missed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's all there. It's all there for the student, and so the parent would just go in to these various reports and abstract the data that they want. They've got these available to them as well.
Does the parent also have access to your helpline?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Also,
right. Because if you'll notice here, the student has a help button. I'll go back. Here's my student Ernie, and if I go to his here's his help right here, and he goes in here. He's got all these different access as well. All this stuff here. And if they want support, all any parent has to do or student has to do is just go right to the web page, and support's right there. And what I would be doing, one of the things I did, what I would be doing if I had a parent working at home, they would have, as part of the student having access, is also the student would have the support information, in other words, how to get help. It's very similar to what I've provided for you, and we'll show you later how the student can get help if they need it.
I have a question. If we have a third grader who's getting bored because he's surpassing, can he go ahead and go into like fifth grade math and start using that?
Yes.
Or is he restricted to his third grade?
He would only be restricted to third grade if he was working in an assignment where you restricted him over here, like I showed you. If you don't block other material, then that student has access to any content that's available to the school.
Okay.
Okay? And then the other thing too, again, as you create assignments, you can assign students across grades. So you might have a fourth grader that can work at a higher level that you want to put in you want to assign fifth grade content, so you might put them in the fifth grade class. I mean, but again, you don't have to do that. You can also go in and create an individual student assignment right here. So I can go into add assignment and just do an individual student assignment. So you could create this just for that one student, and you could assign them any part of the content you want if you want to guide instruction. On the other hand, if you don't block it, they're going to have access to it anyway. Okay?
Okay.
Let's do a writing assignment. How's that sound? All right. Very similar to what I did with the practice assignments, I kind of like to go to the writing prompts first and look and see what's available. The first thing you'll see is you can create your own writing prompt. If I click that, it opens up a text box, and you can do your own thing. On the other hand, it gives you various levels and writing levels here. I'm going to go ahead and just pick Narrative Elementary. And as soon as I click that, it also now will drop down the different prompts that are available for this specific writing area. So I'm going to go back to my general information, and I'm just going to put Narrative Elementary. Now it's very similar to what we just did with the practice assignment. Instruction assignment, you just pick the date you want the student to get it assigned, the due date, when it's due, and then if it's active or not. So again, here's a situation where you could create writing assignments in advance and then assign them at a later date. The key thing to remember with the assignment, assign date and due date, I'm getting some background noise too, just letting you know. I'm not sure. If you could mute, then that would be helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Again, the assigned date and the due date are just dates that are available, but understanding that if the due date comes, if I make the due date for this writing assignment the 16th, unless I take the assignment away, it will stay on the student's dashboard. So the due date does not mean that the assignment will just disappear from the students. I choose my whether I want it active, and then any instructions I want for the student again. Now at the bottom, I can look at graphic organizers. So for instance, story map, Venn diagram that you can use. Here's where you can preview the Venn diagram. Now isn't that funny? That opens up for me. No problem. So here's an example of one of the organizers. And so what you might want to do is go through these different organizers, maybe preview them, and see which ones might be most appropriate for specific grade levels. Then you can decide whether you want spell check, and then any rubrics that you might want. So in this case, I'm just going to go not applicable, and I'm going to go 0 to 10 for my rubric. I'm going to go back to my writing prompt. I'm going to decide which prompt I want the student to do. Let's go. Imagine you're a celebrated sports star. Before you begin to write, think about all the sports around the world. What sport would you play? If it is a team sport, what team would you play for? So there, they get the prompt. Now next it's going to take me to students. Again, my students are already assigned. I can go in and expand and decide if I want all these students to have this assignment, or 1 or 2 in this case. I save and exit, and I now have my writing assignment created. Again, with the same options that we had before, and that is you can deactivate, see the results, look exactly what was created, edit it, or delete it. That's pretty much how simple it is to create a writing assignment. Any questions on that? Okay. We've been at it about over an hour. Do we need to take a short break? Is everybody okay? Okay. Assume we go then. All right, test builder. Let's take a look at the test builder. I'm going to go into create an assignment again and pick a test. So I'm going to test. Can we take a break, please? Yes, we can. You want to take 10 minutes? Say I have 18 after. Do you want to go? I have 18 after. 10:30 maybe? 12 minutes? 5 minutes. 5 minutes good. Is that good? Is that good? 5 minutes break would be great. 5 minutes? Okay. 5 minutes? Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks. Yeah, go ahead and let me know when we're back and you guys are ready to go. I can start back up whenever you're ready to go. Okay, are we ready? You think? Okay. I have about 26 after. I did go in and I was able to, for some reason, I was able to now go in and pull up the constructed response example. So that's in front of you now. So here's an example of what one would look like. And it's printable again, and you can also open it in Word. So these are kind of convenient because they could be used for individual students, or if you do small group stuff online, it could be done using that as well. And then I was open. I thought I could open up the questions. Let's see if they're coming up or not. Here we go. Okay, here's your constructed response. I'm going to go in here, and here are the questions that would come up by clicking the blue Q. And as you'll notice that again, they're printable. You can hide the multiple choice, you can hide the answer list, or open in Word. So those are the other resources that are available with each lesson as you create assignments. Let's go back to our class manager. And now we've gone in and we've created a practice and instruction assignment. And we've created a writing assignment. Now we'll look at the test builder. And again, each one of these areas lays out for you specifically what it's for and what tool is used. If I open this up, again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to decide what program that I want to draw from in one content area. Let's go Math Common Core. Let's say I want to make a test over part of the assignment that I created before under Operations and Algebraic Thinking. So let's say we're just going to do real-world problems. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go back to my test information and paste it in. And I'm going to put grade 4 and put my name, and that'll be the title of the assessment. Any information that I want to add for the students, and then next go to questions. If I go back to real-world problems, this little building block that looks like a Lego, this is where I can choose the questions that I want for my assessment. If I click that, it should open up loading the questions. And here's where I can draw questions from my practice or my assessments. If I open this, the practice, here are the different questions that are available to add to my assessment. I'll pull to the bottom and you can see there are 52 questions in this real-world problems. So all I do is simply click Add. And we'll do 10. You'll also notice now that some have occurrences. So maybe I like this question, they're word problems. Maybe I like this question, so I want to add 3 of those. Maybe I want to add 3 of these. So I can then add different occurrences of similar questions if I want. So you can see from the question bank there are numerous questions available. Add, and I'm going to go ahead and save my selections, and it shows me that I have 11 questions selected. And it shows me that the 11 questions are created for real-world problems. Now all I have to do is go down to create an assignment, similar to what we had done before. And I decide when I want this to be available to the students, when I want them to take the assessment for real-world problems.
Could I ask a quick question about the questions? If you said if you like the question, you could click on 3. Does that mean it gives you 3 similar questions?
That's correct.
So you're not adding that particular question necessarily verbatim?
No.
No, it's just a similar type.
Right. So maybe it's maybe it's graphing, and you like the graphing, or maybe it's percentages using blocks, and so you can then decide, hey, I like that question. That's a good one. I want 3 similar formatted questions in my assessment.
Or even just one, but it's just similar. It's not identical.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. And so once I've created all that, I've got my questions, I've decided on my assessment. Again, I pick my dates. Do I want it active? Do I want them to have a calculator? Do I want to override any preferences? And very simply, I go to my students. I decide which students I want to take this assessment. I save and exit. So now I've created practice and instruction assignment, a writing assignment, and a test builder assignment. Any questions on that so far? The nice thing about the test builder is you can also go in and for your class, if I go to test builder and create an assignment, I can actually go into, let's go grade 4 Math Comm Core. I can actually go in and also create my own diagnostic and my own pretest if I want to. Right here. So you could actually create a diagnostic test for this content area and maybe give it at the beginning when the student starts, and then maybe do another one after, maybe to get some growth or show some growth in this area. Let me go in and show you benchmarking. Now, benchmarking right now is just a trial for your school, but the administrator can create benchmarks, assessments that can be then given to the students at periods during the school year, maybe quarterly. I go to benchmarks, I go back to my admin. And I go to benchmarking here. It shows here, it breaks down specifically what benchmarking is. Let's say I wanted to schedule a benchmark for the students in a certain area. I could pick my grade 4 again. I could pick my math, Common Core, and I could decide which one I want. So let's say we're going to do benchmark 1. Now I decide the dates that that benchmark assessment is open. And whatever dates I put in here, this one shows from the 10th to the 17th. That means during those dates, then the students that I assign the benchmark will then have that available to them during that window of time. So again, the benchmark could be assigned 4 times over the year. So I just wanted to quickly kind of go through benchmarking and what that is. So if you saw it and you had questions, you know what it is. Any questions to this point? Okay. All right. Let's look at custom material. It looks like somebody's gone in and experimented with this a little bit. So I'm going to go in and we're going to create a new topic. And let's see, I'm going to call it, let's go California history. And let's make it grade 4. Let's stay in our grade, I guess. Now I can put any description I want here. I can decide what my number of questions is, what my passing goal is, and then I have other options here. We're going to create some flashcards right now, so I'm going to put allow flashcards. And I'm going to save and exit. And it's going to tell me your topic was saved. And now it's going to ask me to write questions. And so here's where I can write questions for my flashcards. So could be the union, could be your question. And down here you're going to put I'm going to reduce my options to 3. And again, you have a handout on making these in your pre-session documents that I gave you. So first thing I'm going to do is put my correct answer. Okay, save it. And then I'm going to make some other answers. So let's go October. And so now I've created my right answer and 2 incorrect answers. And I'm going to save it. And then it asked me to write another question because I put 10 in there, so it would have me do 10 questions until I was finished with that. Let's do a second one just for visual effect. So let's do nickname. Nope, not nickname, nickname. Okay, nickname, and just like we did before, 3 choices, and I'm going to put the answer again. Save it, and then have others, and so I've got my choices here. Again, I save it. Now I'm not going to go and do 10, but I just wanted to show you how to create these. So if I go back to my custom material, there's my California history assignment that I created and my flashcards. Now the reason that I created it with the responses is because now I can administer this assignment, this custom material, 2 ways. I can click here and I can take it into practice mode or game mode. I hit next, It asks me the questions just like it is a practice assessment. Next question, I'm done. So I end the study session. It immediately gives me feedback saying I got both questions that were attempted right. I got 100%. And I can go back to main. So that's one way you can then give the assignment to the student. On the other hand, you can actually do the flashcards, which we created, printable. And again, you want to do 10 because that's how many questions that we said we were going to do. So it's going to print 10 flashcards that will be available to you. On the other hand, you can also then, as we said, use them as an interactive flashcard. Enter the union, you flip it, and it's available for the student. So that's a quick way that you can make your own flashcards. Now let's look at the rest of the custom material. So I can also go in there and add to that anytime I want to. So if I wanted to add more questions to that individual custom material, I could edit that at any time. So if I go in here and I'm just going to create a test, and we're going to do grade 4. And I'm just going to leave all of this the way it is, except I'm going to go ahead and allow flashcards again. And I'm going to save and exit. Now, the first thing you'll see is I have the ability to add attachments. I can add URLs, either external or existing. Next, it'll take me to write my questions. So I can write my questions similar to what we did in the flashcards. Then I can have 3, 4, or 5 responses. I click 5, so as a number of choice, students will only see 4 in the game mode. Select a none of the above, yes or no, and then I write my questions and my answers. Here's where I can add a reading passage. Here's where I can use a custom explanation or an existing one that you might have. And that's it. And that's how you can create custom material. And then once it's created, you can then assign it to your students. Any questions on that at all? Okay. Let's go back and take a look at our teacher toolkit that we kind of experimented with a little bit. This is something where you would want to go in and take your time, just preview all the different options that are available. So if I just click 3rd to 5th and don't separate, it'll bring up all these different options, and it does act just like a spreadsheet. So if I click here, it'll go by grade, resource type, the subject, and even the categories. So it can be done by just organized how you want to do that. So I did 3rd to 5th, so if I click that, it takes me right to 3rd to 5th. Excellent resources for you to be able to, again, to add to your, use to support your objectives and your learning for your students. Let's take a look now at our reports. These are all the different reports that are available to you. What I would do here is go in and I would really take time just looking at all the different reports that are available. And then later on, what I would think about, once you have some time on Study Island and have collected data, then possibly get together as a group and analyze the data and start to figure out what it's telling you. But again, this is a great reporting. I've never seen so many reports for a program before. I'm going to go in here though, and I'm going to show you under individual student report, because one of the things you may have to do is you may have to eliminate a low score for a student sometime. When a student is taking the lessons, the scores are cumulative. So let's say the student gets a 20 on the first attempt, and that 20 may have not even been their own fault. Could have been internet. Who knows why they got interrupted, and or their go-to training goes crazy on them like mine did earlier, then it's going to be quite a few attempts before that student's able to get to that 70%. So one of the things you would want to do is go into your reports, and if you go to individual student, I'm going to go in and I'm going to find a student that I know has this situation where they got a low score, and that was Ernie that we looked at earlier. And I'm going to go in and look at his report, and we're back to what I looked at prior, where it's showing me what he took, the standard, and that he got a 40 in this objective. Now, one thing you'll notice here is it did assign a building block activity. So because he scored low, and because building blocks were provided for the student when the assignment was created, it automatically gave like a remediation building block assignment to Ernie to help build him up to levels, so hopefully he can pass the objective at 70%, which is the prescribed number we're looking for. As I showed you earlier, if I go to view sessions, it shows me exactly. Did I lose you guys? Does everybody still hear me? I'm hearing some static. Can you all still hear me? Okay, good. I want to make sure. I'm hearing some static. Maybe it's just at my end. Okay. So, what's going on? What's going on? Hang on one second, devil of a time today. Are you still with me all? So make sure that you're still with me. Anyway, when I went in and clicked on view sessions, it gives me the option, like I showed earlier, it gives me the option to show view missed, and it also gives me the option here to remove this session. So I could go up here and remove this session. And let's say the student did get a 20 and it wasn't their own fault, then it would be a way to take that out of there so that they can kind of get a fresh start and a better chance to get to that 70% without having to maybe do the assessment 5 or 6 times. Now, on the other hand, the student also, and this won't be as prevalent for all of you because of your independent study, but the student in the classroom can also request to have a low score eliminated. It's just that when they go into their individual student report and they request that, let me go into Ernie here again. And I'm going to go in and take a look at him. Let's see. Close him out. And I'm going to go to Ernie here, and I'm going to look at what we looked at earlier where we saw, I'm going to log him in real quick. Got timed out. Just give me 1 second. All right. So if I go into Ernie again and I go to his reports like we looked at earlier, he can go to his individual student report and bring up his assessment, and it'll look exactly like what we just saw on the teacher right here. So this is looking at it from the student view. He also can go in and say view his sessions, and he also has the option to ask to remove a checked session. The difference with the student is if he wants to remove a checked session, it brings up the teacher username and password. So this, again, this wouldn't be as prevalent for you because of your independent study situation, but this would be more if you're in a classroom or a tutoring situation and the student wanted to get a low score out, then they could request it even from their end and get it taken care of by the teacher. Let's take a look at all the help options that you guys have to support you. I'm going to go back into my teacher page, and you'll notice that you have an SOS, you have live support,
Our screens are frozen.
We're not following you anymore.
I'm sorry, I'm missing you. Oh, you're not seeing my screen? Oh, you're not seeing my screen?
Yeah, we see the screen, but it's frozen and we're not following you anymore. We still see a list of sessions all by topic. These are early days.
Hang on one second. Let me take a look here. Hang on. How about now?
Okay, that was better.
Got it? Okay, thanks for letting me know that. Yeah, so thank you. Anyways, I'm sorry. If you look on the teacher page here, you've got the SOS and you've got live help. And this is a live chat that you can go in at any time and ask for help. Right here. And this goes directly back to staff in Dallas, and then they will chat and assist you if you need it. Then you have the Show Me, which I like. If I want to, this is from the teacher perspective. If I go to create a class, it'll take me straight through the process. So it takes me straight through the process depending. And there's one of those for the admin and for the teachers.
Question.
Yes.
I just saw like a view password page. Are we only going to be able to see passwords if they're assigned to our class?
You can see passwords for all users. Let's go take a look at that while we're on that subject. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's go to the password list. And so as a teacher, you can see you'll have the drop down right here, and this is the different options that you'll have. So if I go to all users, it's going to show me the passwords for the students, but not the teachers. Okay? And that gives you the ability then to help a student if they forgot their password. If I go back to my teacher page, and we can look at another program called Live View. And this shows you by class, it can show you the activity that's going on in your class, student, whether they're currently in, what they're working on, the topics they're working on, and then down here are graphs that will be populated depending on which class you look at. So depending on when your students are at peak activity, you can kind of peek in and tell what exactly they're doing at a certain time. Here's where we talked about the adjust student difficulty. So you now as a teacher have this ability. If I want to go into my grade 4 and click next, again, just like I showed you from the admin page, I have the ability to do it by class, by student, by subject, and choose a default percentage for the student, either increase the difficulty or decrease the difficulty depending on the individual need of the students. If I go back to my teacher page, adjust student difficulty, here's where access can be restricted. And again, it can be done by student, class, or grade. If I go back into adjust student difficulty again, the third tab at the top is modify practice session. If I select my class again, I'll stay with grade 4. This is where I have the ability to turn on and off the text-to-speech and reduce answer choices by 1. So that would be a modification for a student maybe that's on an IEP, possibly give them less choices or an individual need. So the default is no reader for the students. So again, you would have to go in and turn that on for your class or your students, depending on what. And I like the reader. I think it's a good tool, particularly for students that are working independently. You go back to my teacher page here. Reset start date is obvious. view the build test library. So one of the things is when you do create tests in the test builder, you have the ability to share it. Just understanding that if you decide to share the test and put it in the library for everybody else to have access to it, then you can no longer go back and edit it. Straight links to practice assignments, creating a writing assignment, build a test, create your own topic, and custom material. So all these things are directly available from the teacher page. If I go to the help button here to finish out the help and assistance, here are all the different tools that are available to teachers on how-to. If I go to how-to, it's for admin, teacher, district admins. If I go to the teacher tab, everything pretty much that we've talked about is in this menu and available to the teacher, including the manual. And that can be downloaded. Now, normally in my session, this is where I would have teachers create classes and assignments, and then coach them through. Is that something you want to try to do? Log into your accounts and try to do create a class and an assignment? Yes, Daniel. Danielle, do you have a question?
No, just expressing interest in doing that.
Okay, good. Yeah, I normally with 3-hour sessions, I want to give teachers a chance to practice. Is that something we want to do right now? There's a couple of ways you can do it. You could open up your browser, log in, and keep your, you can either tile my screen in or just have your GoToMeeting open there for chat. And then what I can do is hang here and have for questions or...
I don't have logins yet.
You don't have logins yet?
No.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know there's all these teacher helps and everything,
Uh-huh.
but is there one easy tutorial that a parent can go to studyisland.com that they can click on that will introduce them readily and easily to the system without overwhelming them? Or alternatively, once they're no longer shopping, but they're actually going to be using it, is there one easy place that'll say, okay, this is where you go and do a few simple steps that will help them get into the program without overwhelming them?
Yeah, I'm going to bring up the pre-session document here that I did on that had the what's the support in it. I'm going to bring that up for you.
Okay.
Give me 1 second and we'll load it. And what they can do is, here are all the support resources, and this was part of the documents that I sent out, and could be.
I have that.
Okay, and so if you go down, the virtual workshops are what I would recommend.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend, and then also not hesitating to take advantage of the support as well. But the virtual workshops are very good at accomplishing what you're trying to say. The other thing I did, and again, it depends on your situation, but I actually, when I was doing the distance learning independent study, I took these materials basically, or support resources that were available, and then I created my own, I called it a quick reference sheet. That was just a real quick, what are the basic things I need to know as a parent to manage this, about Study Island, to make sure that the student's getting the most effective experience out of it.
Is that reference sheet available to us?
Well, I can make one. I haven't done one for Study Island, but I'd be glad to try to put one together for you guys.
That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, I could try to do that. I should be able to do it. And again, what I like to do is because the key thing that I've learned over doing the distance learning for years is the key is getting them started on it. Once they get in and get going, generally it's pretty good. But once a student gets frustrated or they find reasons not to get in or they don't understand something, then yes, the tendency is to kind of avoid it. So I understand where you're going there. You're right on with that. Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions for me that you can think of? So let me look here. I'm going to look at the logins here. Let's see. Yeah, these are the teachers that I see that are in there right now. Okay. Well, is there something else that I can go back through for you then that you want me to, instead of you doing it, since we don't have that capability, is there something else you want me to go back through and do for you or show you again?
Yeah, can you show us the benchmarking?
Sure. Okay. And so from a teacher perspective, again, all the teacher would see is that the benchmark is scheduled. So if I go to my program here and I go to benchmarking, here I'm in as a teacher. I'm going to go in as a teacher and then go to benchmarking. And you'll see that the benchmarks are right here, and it's telling me as a teacher that when it's supposed to be administered, what it's going to cover, what students are in it, and then you have the ability to edit. And again, this would be done from the admin level. So the teacher would just see the benchmark schedule, and then the student would see the actual benchmark exam when it was assigned and that threshold showed up. So if I go to the benchmarking again, as an administrator, to schedule a benchmark, it's just really deciding which area. Like right now, they've given you a benchmark trial, so you could try this right now. You could do it for, right now they have 4th or 6th in there. So you could do it for 4th and 6th. You could do any of these here. So you could do math, Common Core, and you could do the first one because they've given you access to the first one, the Smarter Balanced Math Benchmark 1. Then you can decide who you want in it, users of level 4. Then your test dates, when you want it open, and the times, and that's simply all there is to it. So you as a school could go ahead and create a first benchmark in language arts and math. I'm not sure, I'm not on the business side of all this, so I'm not really sure what the expense is to add something like benchmarking, or if it's even a tool that's beneficial to you guys. I'm sure that's something you could discuss as a school. But again, you could also really create your own benchmarking through the test builder in a way, and you, like I said, you could create your own diagnostic test in a content area, and then you could assign that diagnostic 3-4 times during the year. The big difference between using the test builder and using benchmarking is benchmarking, when the threshold of availability goes away, then it's gone. Whereas with the diagnostic, you would assign it, but it doesn't mean it's going to just close after the due date. So that's your big difference there. Did that answer your question? Are there any other questions for me that you can think of?
I see a word called C-Hive. What is that?
Okay, C-Hive, I'm glad you caught that. C-Hive is like a blog. Give it a chance to load here. Okay, it hasn't gone in, so I'm going to go ahead and accept for you. And there you go. So it's kind of like a blog where people from all using Study Island can go in and make comments and add. So like here's a comment, better reporting for built tests. And then so you can go in and add to this ideas, and then what happens is you can see the number of views this one has had, and then you can then also vote on it. So if you see one that you like, that you think is a good idea, you can vote on it, and of course if the company sees a bunch of votes for an idea, then I'm sure that they would pay attention to it and either work to make that change or at least make that change as part of the next rollout. And here's where you can post an idea, and that's it. So basically it's like a blog. Okay? The other thing too is to remember that you do, and particularly in your case, what do you all use for messaging now? Do you just use personal email with your students?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Okay. Well, understanding here within Study Island, you do have a messaging system. So this would be another way that you could communicate with your students through the messaging system. So I can compose a message, take the username. I can also, or to a group, like everybody in grade 4 subject, and send a message that way. And then the student would see that number at the top as well and be able to communicate that way as well. Do you also use any kind of a interactive learning management, Illuminate, Adobe Connect, anything like that right now?
No.
No. Okay. So that would so that would be something that if you had that kind of capability, you could also work almost like what I'm doing here with Go to Training. You would be able to just hand over control to a student to work problems and things like that. Let me see if I look at these other content areas. Let's see.
David, is there any way that we can get temporary passwords for now to play around with this?
Let's see. What I can do is, if you bear with me, I can load some test teacher accounts, and then we could do that.
They could go in on my password.
It'll take me. It only takes about. In fact, I'll just go in and do that. Let me see. 1 second. Just bear with me, and I think I can set you up real quick. Hang on 1 second. 1 second. Because I have demo stuff already created, so I think we can do that. Let me go in demo teachers. Here we go. Let me bring up my spreadsheet real quick, make sure that it is. Let me put my Go to Training back together here. Okay. So let me do this.
While you're doing that, just a quick question on standards. When a student is in student mode and on as a student, are they able to access objectives and standards as well?
1 second. Let's take a look. Not to my knowledge, but let me go in as a student here and take a look, just for the heck of it, okay? Make sure.
Yeah, because especially if parents are their teachers, you know, at homeschool, and they are very interested in standards, if they're going to go in as students, then that would be very helpful for them.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. So I'm in as a student right now, Ernie, and I went into the content, and there's the standards.
Yay, thank you.
Okay, all right, let me finish this up for you and save this. Change my state. I'm not going to worry about grades in this situation. I'm just going to worry more about just getting you in, okay? So let me go and take care of that. Close it out. So I'm just going to go to admin here and add users, and we're going to import. Okay, let's see. This will show you how quickly you can do it as well. Change to teacher. The password for all of them will be 1234, okay? And I'm just going to bring them up here. All right. So I'm going to go in now. I'm done. I'm going to go into my accounts now, back to my admin, and I'm going to bring up my users again and my teachers, and there's my test teachers. So just why don't we do it this way? Let me go in here and bring up my audience again. All right, why don't we do it this way? Anna, can you hear me? Anna Martinez. Let's do it this way. We're going to start with the test teachers. So, Anna, why don't you take 100? Danielle, why don't you take test at student? Let me see here. Maybe I brought the wrong one in here. Let me make sure I got the right one here. I want to make sure I got the right one here. I thought I did this. I want to make sure I got the right one. That's what I did, right? Okay. Okay. Manage users. Go here's teachers. Well, I came up at test at student. Let me look here. I know I changed it to teacher. Well, it doesn't matter. It'll work. It'll work. It'll work to get us in today. So if Anna takes the first one, 100, and then we just work down. Danielle, if you take test at student 101, then Jerry, you can take the next one. Judith, just pick any of those, and you should be able to log in. And the password for all of them is 1234. So any of those should work for you. They're all in your system now.
Can you scroll down so I can see my name, Urfer?
There you are.
So I can still just use that?
Yeah, do you remember what your password is?
Yeah, it's just FAME, I think.
Okay, so Lorraine.Urfer at FAME. Yep, you should be able to use that, Lorraine. Yep, that should work. Let me know if you have any problems, because I can always reset the password if necessary. So this will give you access. You can go in then.
Okay.
And then if you have questions, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my chat box. And let me see, where did it go? Let me find it here. There it is. So you can either, if you have a question or something comes up. Are you on? Great. If for some reason you can't get on, let me know. But all these should work for you and give you, and they are set as, even though it says student, it's still set as teacher. So you should be in as a teacher. Then, if you have questions, go ahead and either hit me at the chat box or raise your hand.
I can't see my particular one. Can you scroll up to?
Sure. There we go. Okay. And any one of those should work for you. And I think you can even have multiple logins. So even if you log in, I think is the same, I think you'll be okay. I doubt that'll happen, but it still should be okay. And again, you do have students in there. There's not a ton of them, but there are some. If you go through and after you create a class, you still should have some students that you can put into your test class. And again, all these can be cleaned up later, taken out later. In fact, after the session later today, I'll go in and take all these test students out. Tested student. But what I'll do is I'll leave them in for a while so you have access and be able to get in and work the content or do what you want until you get your logins, okay?
This is Lorraine. I don't have my password.
Okay.
So.
Let's go in and take care of that for you, okay? Let's go to here, and so I'm going to go to Manage Users, and I'm going to go to Teacher. And I'm going to go to you, and I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to go Reset Password. Okay, now just try 1, 2, 3, 4, Lorraine, okay?
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's in.
Good. So yeah, and then once you're in, you always have the ability to change that, but that's just an easy way to get you back in. And so I'll just let you do that. I'm just going to hang here. If you have questions, like I said, you can ask them or however you want to do it. And then I can go in once everybody's in, then I can go in and demonstrate something if you need help. Okay?
Yeah, David, how long is this temporary going to be up?
What I said is I'll leave it up what I'll do is I'll leave it up until I see you have teacher accounts, and then I'll take them out, okay?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, that way you'll have access. Because what I can do is I'll go in like maybe once a day, maybe every day, and once I see, because I know I have all your names, so once I see that you guys have accounts, then I'll go in and take these test accounts out, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then on the one handout I gave you that talks about the survey, I also gave you my email. Should be on that sheet. It just says post-session survey, and you ever have any questions, just shoot me an email. I have no problem giving you a hand as well.
So, David, I have a question about the text-to-speech.
Yeah.
It's I see on your quick reference page, it says it's activated automatically for kindergartens and first graders, but if they are struggling readers, and it would be a good thing for them to have that, we have to unlock that for them if they're above first grade, or are they able to do it on their own as a student?
No, you have to do it for them.
Okay.
So if I go in there, if I go to my teacher page again and adjust student difficulty, and I go to my fourth graders, let's say, and I click next. Okay. Back here, I'm sorry. Here, modify practice session. And I go to my fourth grade class. Yeah, here's where you would just click on them. And one of the suggestions I have made too, or have mentioned, is just be almost like you do with the classes. Just click on a class and just change them all. So, but in this situation, yeah, it would just be simply click, and they would just slide over very quickly.
Now, is that just going to happen automatically when they are practicing? It's going to start reading for them, or is that something they have to click on to do?
They have to highlight and then click the reader.
Okay.
So I'll go back here. Let's go back to my student that I was in, and I'm in Ernie's account here again, and I'm going to go to this lesson, counting objects, and I'm going to click next, and it brings up the reader right here. Now in this situation, obviously it's an interactive one. So in this case, when I clicked in this situation on this assignment, when I clicked the speaker, it reads it for them. So this is another tool that they've added in addition. So because I think this is, so I can do it either way. I could highlight it and click play and it'll read it, or I can click the microphone. So it says click the box that shows 5 sons, click OK, out. So if I go back to main, I'm going to go into the one where it was the language arts, this one here. And again, if I go into my phonics and hit practice, here's the question and here's my reader here to the left. So unless that's toggled to yes, that reader won't show. And then all I have to do is click a highlighter, highlight, and click play, and it starts reading.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And this is probably going to be, you know, more prevalent for your probably language arts, things like that. I know that. But again, it might also be good for, you know, if you got your auditory learner, just being able to hear the directions instead of reading them might be a huge benefit to them. How many students do you all normally work with in your independent study?
We can max out at 30.
No, 30? Okay.
And
Okay.
They're different grade levels, though, so that's why it's...
Oh, I see. So it's across grades, too? Okay, I see.
Right.
Yeah, I was just in Pasadena visiting a school called Options for Learning and Options for Youth, which is for at-risk kids in California. And so I was just in your area last week, actually. I've been doing independent distance learning for about 10 years, so I'm always real interested in the models that are being used. The school that the charter school that I helped open in Tempe is also a virtual school, and they use the study island quite extensively, particularly for the new students when they come in trying to get some type of an idea where they are. So they'll use the test builder for the diagnostics to kind of help guide them, and then they also use it for the standardized test remediation, because being an alternative school tend to get students obviously that haven't been able to pass the standardized test, and so trying to get them up to level to do that. What grades do they test, Cassie, in California?
Maybe one of the high school teachers. Oh, I see they wrote 10th grade.
10th grade, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's when we start to. They start in 10th. Well, they test in 3rd, 5th, 8th, and 10th here. They call it the aims here. I can understand, Karen. Karen said, I'm overwhelmed. I'm signing off. I understand.
David, will these practice logins, will they work for the other Edmonton things or only Study Island?
Only Study Island. That's all I have access to myself. Are you talking like reading eggs and things like that?
Right.
Yeah. No. So you guys have that as well?
Yeah, we're supposed to. I just can't get into anything.
Well,
so I'm trying to patiently wait for my passwords.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping that they add me to. I would like to do reading eggs, and I'd also like to do the ELL
right.
program.
Yeah,
you do? Okay, yeah. They've told me that probably after November that I'll probably add that, because obviously here in Phoenix that's a pretty big program as well that's used.
Well, I like this kind of stuff. I mean, it is overwhelming, but I can see that it's a good tool. And I like to get into stuff and play around with it so that I can make sense of it, and then I can utilize it the way, I can see fit. So I'm excited about it. Thank you.
And I think you're right on with that what I learned with online content of any kind is that the uses just multiply as you get more time with it. And
I agree.
And surprising how, how it is. Clients, I'll be doing a training and you'll have somebody that's got some experience, and you can't know everything about everything, and so especially with technology, because they're always upgrading it, they're always changing it and trying to improve it. And I'm not the type that's going to go out and support a product unless I believe it's going to work for somebody. That's just not my way of doing things. And I've seen, I know I did a training in Phoenix Union District, high school district, last month, and they were just touting how their reading and writing scores have just gone up after implementing this program. So I think it comes down to everything else.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So how would I go about assigning a student a high school CASI preparation course? Can you demonstrate how you would assign a student that course, the CASI preparation material?
1 second. Let me take a look. I'm going to go into yours because I'm not in mine. Here we go. Oh, I lost. Let me go in and log back in as your admin for a second. Back in here.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I noticed that we're still only limited to that second, fourth, and whatever grade in the CASI for this practice stuff. So
yeah, when I go in and I do what they call a post-session survey for the session, I'm going to put into your representative's notes that question was asked, and ask him to follow up on that. Okay?
Yeah, because it'd be good to be able to see all grade content right now.
Okay, yes. Okay, and then okay, getting back in issue. So I'm in the CASI right now, and so right now I see the language arts and the math. Is that what you were talking about as far as assigning it?
Or how do you assign a student that material? Like to go in and assign a student that material?
Right, so you would go in and create your class. So let's go in and do that. Let me go to my class manager, and I'm going to go to my class, okay? And
so, Doreen, you're not going to be able to see your students until we have access to all the FAME roster.
Right. But I can. Do you want? I can still show you how to add that CASI if you.
It's all good. Yes. Go ahead and demonstrate, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Demonstrate how to do it, please.
All right. So I'm at Class Manager, and I'm going to click on my class, and I'm going to add assignment, and I'm going to create an assignment. I go to my assignment options like I showed earlier, and here it is, high school CASI preparation right here. So if I click on that, so I then can go back to here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to put and I'm going to just put prep, and again it's just like before, what do I want to what dates do I want to give it to them, and then any instructions just like I would do. And then now that I've said, okay, I'm going to give high school CASI prep, let's say we're going to do math, let's make it specific, and I'm going to go next assignment options, and there's my math, and now I can choose whatever I want out of this to give them. I can give them all of it or I can give them pieces of it. So let's say we're going to give them, I don't know, let's do number sense. So I'm going to go back here now, and I'm going to go number sense, go back to my assignment options. I've got my assignment checked from high school CASI prep math. Now I go to my students. Obviously I don't have any high school students in here now, but I can add them to any class, save and exit. And so there's my high school CASI prep number sense, and that's all there was. And you just assign that then to any students that you want to. So you then can again, yeah. So you can assign that all of it in pieces, however you want to do that. The other thing you could do too. Let me just take a look here, make sure I'm right before I say it. Add a new assignment, go to Test Builder, create an assignment, and I'm going to go to my program again, and right here again I can go here and I can create a test for CASI right here. And just like I did earlier, I can go in and create a pretest or any of my own test from the Test Builder for this CASI math as well. So you've got two ways that you can do it. You can pull it straight from the content and let them go through the assignments that they have, or build it for them. Yes, ours is the same. It's just reading, writing, and math. Yes. Yeah, it is a lot to digest. You should see me trying to do this in like 90 minutes. Sometimes, in fact, I got a session tomorrow in Tucson where I'm supposed to do this in an hour. So it'll be quite a road race. Yes, I think I would use the CASI prep for preparation. It doesn't. I don't think. For instance, if I'm not sure when they take the CASI, but I know that our 10th graders, they take our test in the spring. Oh, in March. Okay, so you might use the CASI prep. You might use the CASI prep in advance of taking the test, maybe in the fall of their 10th grade year, and start prepping them based on maybe some previous assessments or even a diagnostic of the CASI.
is there a diagnostic in Study Island so that they could identify those weak areas in the fall of their 10th grade?
Yeah, and that's what I would do is like I'm in the CASI right now. You could go in and create by going to the test builder.
Well, is there a default pretest that we could just give them and we don't have to create something?
I'm not in test builder, so if I just go in like we were going to do, if I just go in to CASI and math, there it is right there. So it gives them it doesn't give them a diagnostic or a diagnostic test for the CASI. That's why I might go in and create one.
Oh, okay. That was my question.
Yeah, I would. And if it was me, I think I would do that. I would go into let's go into test builder here real quick. I want to look at that. I want to see how many questions are available.
But Lorraine, there's a pre-test and a post-test. They could just do that.
Right. Yep. There's that too. You're exactly right. Let's go to add assignment. I'm going to go to test builder here, and I'm going to go to my questions. Let's go to high school CASI again. All right. And if I open up the pretest, it's going to open up my question bank. And so you can see right here where you could create a pretest yourself right here. So I've got, in the CASI, I've got 30, CASI Math, I've got 30 questions, but I also have, like we showed before, instances. So I could really expand this to 50 questions pretty easily, just depending on what I liked. So like we said, so say you like this question because of the way it's laid out, you might say, oh, okay, I want 3 like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or say these the graphing questions, which are always a challenge, I think, for a lot of students. And then, so to me, and then you can go to assessment questions. There aren't any because it's a pretest, but you could still use the practice questions as kind of a diagnostic or a benchmark as to, okay, where is this kid at in these CASI objectives? And then let's say they are low after you get the results, because you're going to have a report that's going to break down the areas. Then you could actually go in and individually create another prescriptive or another test for that particular objective based on the results. Let me answer Keziah's question. Let's see. Study Island has all subjects, depending on, I think it was Anna was asking about the subjects. It has all subjects. If I go into my account here, you can see at the bottom here, these are all the subjects that are available. So if I click 10th grade, there's math and reading. But if I go to high school Common Core, there's your math. But if I go down this list to the left, you can see all the different courses that are available. It's pretty much everything.
We can't get to that, though?
No.
We can't get to that. Okay.
No, it would have. So I guess, so you guys, your school covers basically K through 12 then?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes, Judith, that's correct. Yeah, Plato is your content, and Study Island for support assessment and reporting. Yes, exactly. And Plato is your content, your courseware. And that's the same. PLE, right, is the same. That's the same content that we use in the academy is PLE. So I'm very familiar with that courseware. So Do you have Plato courseware also available for your students? Yes. Okay. Oh, great, man. You guys have it all. Do you also use the Genius program for student management or Sensei? Is that available to you as well? Sensei. Okay. Yep. I'm familiar with Sensei too. Good. Good. On Sensei. What student management system does your school use? You know, like for transcripts and grades and things like that. Power School, Schoolmaster, Pathways. Okay, School Pathways. Okay, that one I haven't been familiar with. That wonder if that's a somewhat of a California product, because I'm not familiar with that management system.
Yeah, I think it's California.
You think so? Yeah, I'm familiar with quite a few, but that one was new to me. I've heard that like from 3 different places that I've worked with that your School Pathways was kind of what they were using.
Yeah.
Let me go in here and bring this over. You. And then one thing before you all wrap up, if you have time today, if you can, here's the survey information that's available, the website, and the session number. And again, the sheet that I provided for you also has my email on it for future reference. And the survey, it not only just kind of tells us how we did, but also this is your chance to put in your information so that you can get a certificate for the training, okay, for the professional development. So this is where you can get that as well. Once you put your email in, your information, then the system should send you a certificate for professional development for your records. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. That's the first time I've run into that issue with GoToTraining. I'm just glad we got it figured out. And I'm glad we had a 3-hour session. That would have made it crunch. Yes, they are. I understand. I'm sure you all end up in doing a lot of tech support yourself, I'm sure. Does the school provide access for the students, or are they required to have their own hardware and internet, things like that?
Our students, we're in the process of getting them their computers.
Okay.
Internet is up to them. If they fall under Title I rules, then they can get discount from our local carrier. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be really nice to have these good online options.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for your time today. We sincerely appreciate it. My email is not accepting outside emails at the moment, so I will email you to get this recording sent. So, Rebecca, I have a lot of questions that we need to figure out some ordering for you, so you need to give me a phone call. And anybody else, if you need me, if you have an outside email, then please give me a phone call if you need anything today. So hopefully that will be taken care of. So thank you so much, David. Sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you all, and again, I'll hang on for until I see everybody's gone, and I appreciated working with you. And again, you have my information if you need any help at all, okay?
Thank you.
Take care, all. No problem, Jude.